Welcome back to Go Fund This. Today I have a special guest. I know I say that every time, but you haven't heard it a lot this season because this is only episode 2 of season 2. So I have a very special guest with me today. I have Karla. Karla, I'm super excited to have you here. I love what you're doing here. I love this Kickstarter.
Oh,
I
thank
read
you.
through the whole thing and I'm like, yep. If nothing else, you got one new backer because I'm totally doing this. This is awesome. Karla, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what the project is?
So I'm Karla Nappi. I'm the writer and creator of Duplicant, and Duplicant is my ongoing comic book series. This is issue 4 that I'm fundraising right now, and it's about the one man who offers hope during a pandemic. Created actually before our current condition, this entire series, and it focuses on how he's trying to find out why his tech is being manipulated in a way that is harmful to other people and not what he intended. His tech is supposed to help people, not hurt them. And so he's on this journey to discover if his tech is actually harming people and why that would be.
Yeah, dystopian sci-fi is so deep in my wheelhouse. As soon as I saw the cover, I went, oh, I think I know what we're going with here. I am so excited for this project. So, you yourself, I mean, we talked about the project, but you yourself, your background, I was reading your bio, and you were an ABC Disney writing program semifinalist.
Yes.
So what is that?
So the ABC Disney writing program is a unique program in the television industry where if you get into it, you're basically given a job for a year to be
Wow.
mentored and to hone your writing skill and to prepare you for staffing season. I have a couple of friends who've been through it and love the program. And so, yeah, I got all the way up to the semifinalist range a couple years ago, which was awesome.
Wow. Wow. Well, you still got work though, because I'm reading this going, oh, you worked on cool shows and you worked with Carlton Cuse too, right?
Yeah, I worked with Carlton Cuse on Bates Motel. I was actually the first new script coordinator he'd worked with in a while because he had the same gentleman who had worked with him forever since, like, Walker Texas Ranger and all through Lost. And he's just an amazing person in his own right. And so he was doing, oh my God, I'm spacing on the name of his show, the one with the contagion on the airplane.
Oh, I'm
You know what I'm
spacing
talking
too.
about?
I totally know what you're talking about. I'm totally spacing what that
Oh, the
is.
strain, the strain. So
Yes, the
he was on the
strain.
strain, and he brought me in on Bates because he was doing the strain and Bates at the same time, and he wanted 2 different people to handle
Sure.
one on each show. So that's when I was brought in onto Bates.
How embarrassing. We have a strain podcast that I produce. You'd think that would have come right into my head. Not at all. For those out there, it's called the Strain Podcast. I know it's such a unique name. And I'm a big fan. My wife and I watched every minute of Bates Motel. So that is so exciting that you worked on that. What a fun introduction into that world to be working on that whole thing. That's so cool. So that led you to this. You're obviously a sci-fi fantasy person, I would
Hmm.
say. Uh, Dystopian sci-fi being kind of your wheelhouse. Big
Yeah,
Blade Runner fan, maybe?
my father introduced me really young to movies like Blade Runner, and all that sort of stuff. And so I just like fell in love with those types of worlds. And it's just, I
Yeah,
think it had, especially watching that at a young age, like that was back in the days when like everything was on, as far as the East Coast, like WPIX, which was like channel 11 or channel 9, they had all the movies on repeat. And so I just would sit there and be absorbing all this craziness.
yeah, right, right. You a big Philip K. Dick fan too?
No, I haven't actually read that much of
Really?
his stuff, but I love
He's
like
all
Minority.
dystopian.
Well, that's just it. It's like I haven't read his stuff, but I love all the movies based on his stuff. So like Minority Report
Oh, so good.
is one of my all-time favorite movies. I during the first Kickstarter, I did a live broadcast on like the final day of like watching the movie and live tweeting
That
because
is
it was
so
such a
fun.
huge influence on this story in particular, Minority Report.
I can see that from what I've read here. I can see that. And that makes total sense. And I'm a huge Philip K. Dick fan. So that's probably why I'm freaking out over this going, yes, yes, this is my area. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to recommend get some of his short story books
Okay.
and your brain will go on fire.
It probably will. It probably will.
You know, I think when I first read my first, collection of his is when it just solidified it. And I was already a Blade Runner fan and that, and I was like, this is the way. This is it right here. So I think you'll be into it. So this story, um, this is the fourth book in the series, correct?
Yes.
And it's called Duplicant.
Mhm.
Um, so with this story, and this might be a weird question, is it a contained story or is it an ongoing story?
I envision it as 10 issues. So,
Okay.
issue 5 I'm writing right now. Now that I'm with a publisher, we're on a bi-monthly release schedule with Previews World. So issue 1's going to be in stores in April, and then after issue 5 I'm going to take a short break, and then we'll dive back in and do the rest of the 5 issues the next arc.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you see this going past that? I know you're saying a 10-issue arc, but do you see like volume 2 5 years from now or something? Do you have kind of visions of
I think
that?
it's entirely possible because I know where I'm going. I know what the end is going to be. It's entirely possible that I could just pick it up again and keep going. And obviously, if the fan base is still there and clamoring for new material, and I have the money to keep paying my team,
Right.
then yeah, I would love to keep going.
Yeah, I had Rich Perez on here for his Kickstarter for Infinium Volume 2.
Mhm.
And that was a question I asked him because for Rich, his company, Tango Comics, does 6-issue stories or
Okay,
10-issue stories, and they're done.
right,
So if you're like, I'm a huge fan of Infinium, that might be it. You might get this contained story like reading a book and you're done.
right.
But then he went back and did Infinium Volume 2, and it's mind blowing. And he's like, yeah, there was another story to tell. So I wondered if that was something. And I guess we don't really have an answer other than it might.
Yeah, it might. I definitely think the way I have it set up to end, there is room for more story if I wanted to keep going.
Now, forgive me because we were just talking about all this other stuff. Did you give the plot of the story at all at the top of the show?
Yeah, so the story is set in the future during a pandemic of organ failure and focuses on Matt, Travers, who created these duplicate organs to save humanity, and how it's being manipulated in a way that isn't what he intended it to be.
You did say all that. I forgot if it was something we talked about here, if we talked about beforehand, or if it
Right.
was something I read on the screen. So yeah, everyone's like, wow, why are we listening to this show? The guy can't pay attention to anything.
It's
I
early.
can.
It's early in the morning.
It's earlier for me. I'm in the Midwest. You're on the East Coast. So yeah.
Yeah, well, my son was up very late last night, so I'm kind of like still waking up.
Yeah. Well, and if you hear my voice, it's definitely in the gutter. Talk to me at noon. It sounds a little different. So one thing that struck out to me on looking at your Kickstarter, and once again, the Kickstarter is for Duplicant issue 4. If you go in, it says Duplicant 1-4, a dystopian biopunk thriller, which is just music to my ears. Uh, but you have these great quotes littered throughout here, and I want to
Mhm.
highlight that for a second because uh, a lot of people that listen to this also do Kickstarters.
Right.
And we always kind of have tips and things we see. I love these. You have them highlighted in this like pink. As I'm reading through, I kept waiting for them, like, oh, cool, another one. And then I'd read who it was. You have some great quotes. This is really a striking thing. So well done, Karla. I think that is a
Oh, well,
really
I have
great
to
thing.
also thank Clay Adams because he is the person who builds all my Kickstarter pages. All the quotes are from either reviews that I got or friends that I have in the comic industry. And
Yeah.
Clay is the one who built the graphics and built the page for me. He's a creator in his own right and actually has a Kickstarter going right now for his series Deadskins.
Well, he should be on this show. We should reach out to him. I get a lot of comic book creators on here, which is great. I'm always looking for filmmakers, comic book creators, musicians, cool different things. Writers, I love them.
Right.
So yeah, you should tell him. You should tell him, and then he'd say, "Hey, well, he's going to praise you for these quotes you put on my show." I loved it. I do. I really think it looks really great, and I love the artwork. The whole thing looks great. Now, the team that's on this, um, you have a really great team behind you as well. So we've got you. We've already talked about you, and I'd say there's a level of prestige there. Who else is on your team, Karla?
So Mariana Strakowska is my artist, and she's based out of Poland. She did a Witcher miniseries for Dark Horse. She also was the main artist on like a Witcher coloring book that they did, and then she's also done a ongoing series in Poland that I don't know how to pronounce the name of because it's in Polish.
I was looking at him like, how's she gonna say it?
Yeah, I did like literally no clue. And I probably should know a little bit more about Poland because my husband's family is all from Poland. My husband's like first generation here from Poland.
Well, you know what? You have an excuse. You don't use it day to day, if unless he's talking to you in Polish.
No, and
It's
he lost a lot of it as he grew up because his family stopped speaking it as often because they wanted to
see,
make sure that his English was good.
yeah. A lot of people think that my family stopped speaking English when I was younger because I'm stumbling all over the place lately. That was a joke.
I like that.
I'm
I like
glad you laughed. Yes.
that.
So yeah, her artwork is striking. The Witcher stuff, I looked it up. Amazing. Your
Mhm.
book has a great look. And then you've got Carlos Mangual. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, so he's my letter artist on issue 2 forward, and he's been amazing. There are pages where I'm just like, oh my God, what did I do? And then he does the lettering, and I'm like, it works.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's one of the characters in building a comic book that people kind of go, oh, he's the bass player of the comic book.
Absolutely
Uh,
not. He is
no,
1000% essential to this book looking as good as it does.
yeah, no, he's awesome, and he's worked with everybody. And then who else do we have on here? Oh, your line art cover artist,
Yeah,
Leela.
Layla Del Duca
Uh, yep,
and Owen Gianni.
She worked on Wicked and the Divine, which I have been just swallowing down lately. I love that book. And the artwork I'm just dying over. So
Right.
that's another big one. And then you said Owen also did covers and did color art. Uh, worked on Manifest Destiny. What a great book. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got quite a team behind you on this.
Yeah, I'm lucky. It all sort of came together through connections that I had with other people. So Mariana came from my friend Rylan Grant, who does Aberrant and Banjax, and just had successful Kickstarters for the Jump and Peacekeepers. So he's the one who hooked me up with this guy who knew all these artists, and he hooked me up with Mariana. I want to say she was like fresh out of school, I think, when I got hooked up with her. And then Layla and Owen came to me. My friend Himkar Tack, who did Boy One for, I'm blanking on the name of the publisher. I think it might have been Dark Horse too, but he has a new book coming out from Scout called, I want to say Aftershock.
Okay.
And so he's the one who hooked me up with Layla because she had done a cover for him
Okay.
on Boy One. And then Josh Reed was my letter artist on issue 1. I got hooked up with him through Vince Hernandez, who works at Aspen. And because Vince was the editor on issue 1, so Vince hooked me up with Josh, and then Josh got hired at DC, so he couldn't continue, and Josh hooked me up with Carlos.
It's a great team. It's a great team. And it shows when you look at the pages that you have, the sample pages have in here, they're exceptional. And you've got it all going on here. So I really encourage people, if you're a comic book fan, if you're a sci-fi fan, you got to back this. You've got to get behind this. Now let's talk about your tiers.
Okay.
Um, you don't have to go through everyone, but why don't you highlight a couple that you think are tiers that people will go right to?
So the original art tier is one I'm really excited about. Don Wynn, who's the writer creator of Pablo the Gorilla, and he also did during this, I think it was during the summer months when the Punisher creator was trying to, wrestle back that from the way it was being misused. He had all
Yeah.
these artists create these logos. So Don created this great the Punisher logo that said like BLM, and then it looked like the Punisher, almost like a fist. And
Oh,
that
sweet.
has been sold all over the place. He has people who like are trying to steal it constantly. He's like having constantly to do these like DACMA requests to get people
Yeah.
to take it down. But he did a bunch of original art for us. That's awesome. So that tier includes an original art piece by him, and then all of the books. So the issue 1 and 2 Perfect Bound, issue 3, issue 4, and I want to say both variant covers too are included in it. Plus all the stretch goals from the past 2 campaigns come with it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. When I was looking through these, I mean, that's a higher end one. I mean, you've got all the things that people look for. You've got variant levels. You've got levels with all the different books. I went right to the $20 level, which is the print copies of everything. I was like, "Oh, this is great." You get a thank you credit in in the book. You get the all the books in print
Yep.
form. You could also do the now, does that one come
Well,
with
you
digital?
get 20, you get issue 4 in print form, and then but you get all the books in digital
Oh,
form.
in digital. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so you
one
get everything in digital form.
20 bucks is a great price point for that. So I really like that. Oh, I see. Print catch up is 40 bucks. That's the one that I was like, yeah, get all those PDFs and print copies of everything. You got sketch cards. Your $200 level is really great too. The cameo in the book.
Yeah, that's been a popular tier in the past 2 campaigns. The first one was a family member who they decided to immortalize a loved one who had passed away.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that was great that we were able to do that. And then the last time was one of my friends actually decided to immortalize herself in the book, Elle Johnson. And she's an awesome person. She's a writer in Hollywood, and she has a new book coming out soon, actually.
I was talking to another artist, or actually a writer, and one of his tiers is the same thing. He writes the character. If you come in at a certain level, he writes the character into the book. And
Right.
you pick the name and everything. And he was like, "Yeah, they picked their LARP name that they use." And he said the crazy thing is he wrote this just tiny little thing for this character. And then when book 2 came out, or book 3, I don't remember, he said all of a sudden he went, "Wait, that character has a story arc, and that character has become important."
Oh, that's
And it was literally
amazing.
like a one sentence character in this book, but he
That's
was like,
fantastic.
I I keep finding things for this character, not because of the thing, but because that character kind of lit him up, which I think is so cool.
Right.
You never know. You
You never
never know.
know. Yeah.
So, all right, Carla, what about actually what we should cover here is where you're at because you just launched.
Yeah.
You just launched. You have 28 days to go as of this recording. So by the time this comes out, it'll probably be 27 days, might be 28 days. You got to go and look at the Kickstarter to find out. Uh, but your goal is $9,000
Yep.
and it's already at 2670. So, I mean, knowing how these work, you are well on your way. There's not a lot of risk to this. This is happening. Um,
I'll feel more confident once it's actually at the 9,000.
we've done Kickstarters, and until it actually crosses the line,
Yeah.
you're always like, but it's $5
It's like,
more. Who can I beat the bushes to get $5? And you're like, it's
yeah.
$5. Somebody will do it. Don't worry. Uh, but looking at the trajectory here, I think that you're in really great shape, and I'm really encouraging people to back this. This is a really, really great project. Um, you when you hit that 9,000, I'm sure you're going to have some stretch goals. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so Mariana created this awesome custom sticker sheet that will have all the different characters and then things from like the background of the story, like cool little gadgets that I'm hoping to fund because sticker sheets are for some reason crazy expensive when they're custom.
Yeah, they
And
are. They really are. It's
they are,
crazy.
they are, they're really crazy expensive. And then I have an artist who's creating some custom trading cards for us.
Oh,
I
sweet.
saw that White Ash by Charlie Stickney, he's a friend of mine, had done those, and I thought they were really cool. And I asked a couple of my other comic book creator friends about them, and they're all, they're like, these are awesome. They're so cool to do. So I was like, oh, I might as well try these out. Let's get them going.
Yeah, very cool. So we've got stretch goals in mind. I think you're going to blow past those. So I'm going to tell you right now, be prepared for more stretch goals.
I will. I have, well, you know what it is? I have, what I usually do with previous campaigns, I try to find some artists that I like online and hire them to do some sort of like fan art. I'm just like, if
Yeah,
you have the
that's
time
always
in your,
popular.
yeah. And so I pick someone whose art I like and whose price I can afford. And then I just give them free reign because they're always like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Have
Yeah, I
fun
get
with
that.
it, exactly. And then I do those as prints, as stretch goals. I'll do those as like a 5x7, really thick print that comes with the book. And then I also include the art in the back of the book itself with the
Oh,
info on how to
cool.
find the artist.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. So these are great stretch goals. Like I said, I'm a big fan of this whole thing. I read through the whole thing and was like, "Oh, what a great project." And I totally want to know what happens by issue 10. So you've already hooked me, Carla.
Awesome.
So where can people, I know we've already said where it is on Kickstarter. Uh, you know what, I should probably say it again. It's Duplicant 1-4, a dystopian biopunk thriller, or they can look it up by your name. which is also an easy way to do it. So Karla Nappi, Nappi, because that's how I actually found it. After you said it, I forgot where the link was, and I'm like, wait, her
Right.
name is Karla Nappi,
Right.
Karla Nappi. Looked it up, and there you were, and your old ones
Woo!
were on there too, so I was able to look through those, which was cool.
Oh, nice.
Um, so yeah, look them up, support this, and even here's something I say every time, and I'm going to say it here too. Even if you look at these and you're like, man, I love it, but you know what, I just can't do it this time, or I'm spread too thin. The other thing you can do is share it on your social media,
Mhm.
tell your friends about it, because you're going to have a friend that's like me that is all about dystopian sci-fi. You may not even know they're all into it until you say the words, Man in the High Castle, and they go, "Oh my god!"
Yep,
Um,
yep.
so or Minority Report, and they're like, "It's my favorite movie ever." So share it on your social media and say this is a really cool project, and that type of thing draws people to projects like this. So you can really help Carla out that way. So it's not an either or. Do both, or if you can't do one, then it's an either or.
Right.
Got it? Okay. So, Carla, where can people find you? What's your social media?
So I'm on Instagram and Twitter under Musings by Crazed, MUSINGSBYCRAZED. Duplicant Comic is also on Facebook under facebook.com/duplicant comic. And then I have my own website, which is basically my name, www.karlanappi.com.
Fantastic. And I will put those in the show notes. So, some people use the show notes, some people just go by auditory, but they'll be there. Links will be there. So, definitely follow Carla, follow this journey, and support this project. Carla, thank you so much for being on. This was a
Thank
lot of fun.
you.
I will have you back for the future ones because what do we have? 6 more after this?
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
More for this.
We'll have you back.
All
Thanks,
right.
Carla.
Thank you.